Alrighty then, and we are back. That's right. Welcome back to part 11 of my open source digital collage tutorial Photoshop thingamajiggy. My name's Jared Bendis. If you're watching this, please, by all means, jump in the chat window. This is very exciting because we only have a little bit of editing left. Now, when I say editing, I mean the mechanical side of editing, which is, of course, the basic fine-tuned cutting. It's a lot of fine-tuned cutting. And every fine-tuned cut is different. I don't feel bad about going through the hours and hours and hours of this, but if you happen to watch the last hour's version, we were able to come over here and we were able to get our ducks edited. We were able to do a very nice fine-tune around the ship, though we do have some space in the riggings, which I'm going to have to make some judgment calls about. We have not done the poplar trees yet, and we have got through most. Oh, we did the swirl, and we have done most of the dragon, the green dragon. So I think the first thing we do is you need to finish the green dragon. Now it's kind of weird because the green dragon was on a bowl, so it had a very strange sort of warped foreshortenedness to it. But when I get rid of the white, it's going to have that still sort of warpiness to it, but not necessarily the other indicators that let you know what's going on. So it is a kind of a strange piece. Don't worry again about the little bit of glow there. I think we're going to deal with all that in a little bit. So first things first, I'm going to grab my favorite, the polygonal lasso tool. I'm going to come on over here and I'm going to start chomping at my green dragon. I'm just going to go in here and oops. And remember, I always tell people that I'm writing two things. On my right hand is writing my left mouse click, and my left hand is writing my backspace key. This allows me to kind of go forward and backward when using this tool. Interestingly enough, I'm sure someone's like, don't you know you can set it so that your right click would undo it? And you know what? That would be insane. It would be like, I just would be insane. I can't imagine that being a useful feature for me. So I'm not even going to worry about customizing too much. Plus, there is a danger of customizing too much when you start doing these things. Learning the control keys of a piece of software it's useful to a point until it doesn't work. But customizing an interface only works until the next version comes out or you're sitting at somebody else's computer. And I hate when I'm sitting at somebody else's computer and everything is like not exactly where I left it. I know a lot of artists who can really only work on their computer setup. And even worse is it's like being somebody who can only drive their car, and I knew somebody who literally, if everything had to be perfect, and they could really only drive their car, and that's kind of a sad thing. You should be able to sit in front of any car. I should be able to sit in front of any computer, and one of the ways is to stop using customizations. So it's sort of an anti-customizations thing. The other side of it is, but I'm more productive with customizations, and it's 601. I did customize a little bit. Obviously, I told you I went to the double wide toolbar. I also do that partly as an instructor because, again, I think it's easier to say, 3 from the left or 4 from the right versus 12th down. But I lie. I also like the double wide toolbar. It's the way I like to work, but it's not a huge customization. I think there's always little environmental things. Which windows do you have open? Which windows do you have closed? But those are a little different than, which windows you have open and which windows you have closed are different than, creating keyboard shortcuts that only work on your computer or creating macros that only work on your computer. That being said, if you do come up with a macro that works amazingly well for your workflow, you shouldn't be afraid to use it because, it'd be stupid not to. I mean, I think we all use a mix of tools, and so there is that sense of what makes you a more powerful, tool user. And again, if I wasn't going to do any customization, why would I even be a coder? And while I haven't done any coding in these videos yet, that's exactly where these videos are going to be going to. Pretty soon, I'm going to be doing some videos on arcade game design because I also teach arcade game design, and my students have requested that I take some of the lessons that I give and show them. I think it's a lot of what's going on is people just want to see, the way that I do it. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, sometimes I'm in the zone. Last video, I was not in the zone, but here I am, a little bit more in the zone right now, playing a little bit without a net, feeling good, doing the entire backbone of my dragon. Really just getting in there, seeing how this works. Again, just clicking along the way. Green, 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 green. And yeah, feeling good. I'm going to have to get around the claws. I keep wanting to say paws, but dragons don't have paws. They have claws. That's a very strange sort of configuration, as you'll see when we get to the lower half. Right now I've got all these wonderful spikes going on. All right, look at that. Almost to the end of the top of the dragon. And again, you see how it's getting sort of harder to edit because of the warp that's going on. All right. And I hit delete, and voila, look at that. I love that. Very satisfying. Wrong button, Control D. Look at that. Very nice. Zoom out, and that feels very, very good. Matter of fact, this moment has been brought to you by, and let's see if I can crack it open. There we go. This moment has been brought to you by Mellow Yellow. Mellow Yellow. I like this stuff. Yeah, that was good. So, reward myself. Which side am I going to start working? I'm going to work on this side. This is the more awkward side. I'm going to get rid of these first. The little weird ones here. Again, they're weird because they've been strangely foreshortened by going. I keep saying foreshortened, but I guess it's really distorted by going around the edge of the bowl. And that's where it gets fun. Remember, I haven't warped anything here. I've been very true to all of my images. That's really part of what I do when I'm doing a collage. And since this is, in theory, going to be the last of my fine edit of this type of work, thank God. Really, what I've been doing is I've been trying to stay relatively into this world of truth. I'm resizing without warping. I mean, I may be flipping once in a while, but mostly what I'm doing is I'm cutting out, resizing, and rotating. All things that could actually, in theory, be done sort of in the real world. I'm not necessarily changing the integrity of the individual components. When we get to the next level, where I start going through and even changing some of the values, the colors, the surface textures, or even any of the warps, then we start getting into the more fanciful things where one could argue that I have manipulated the image. And while you could argue that I've manipulated the image, you could also argue that I manipulated the image back into its core truth. In this case, I'll be manipulating the image beyond its truth into a word that I'm very fond of, something that people call a photo illustration. And a photo illustration is basically when you have taken a photo and you have altered it beyond what would be considered editorial truth. Or, when you've photoshopped it, or when you've done something beyond what you do in a traditional darkroom to bring out its natural, whatever. Again, big fan of the term. And voila. If you are watching, by the way, I do have the chat window open in another window, and you're welcome to come and say hello. Tell your friends, say, ooh la la, or you can ask, what are you up to? Why are you doing it that way? Why is the sky blue? I always like to ask, why is the sky blue? And in my German class, my German professor had the best answer. Every time I asked him, undo that. That one wasn't worth fixing. Every time I'd ask my German professor, why is the sky blue? He would turn to me and say, why is a banana crooked? And it turns out that as slightly nonsensical questions go, as, annoying little kid, like, why is the sky blue? Sort of, you have any questions, you always say the same stupid thing, why is the sky blue? That the German equivalent of the nonsensical question, or as he put it, the question no one knows the answer to, is why is a banana crooked? At which point I told him why a banana was crooked. It's because one side grows faster than the other. And I also know why the sky is blue as well, but that's not the point right now. The point is that the colloquial why is the sky blue in German is apparently why is a banana crooked. And so if you want to know why a banana is crooked, that's bad. Now again, no good way to fixing this. I'm just going to have to realize that for some strange reason, my mouse is clicking too quickly, or I'm doing something. And so instead of trying to do a larger piece, I'm just going to have to go through and delete between the toes, because that's what I'm doing. delete the between the toes a little bit more, one step at a time. And that's fine. I don't know what it is that I did. I don't know what's going on with my computer. Normally, I'd say if it happens this many times that there's something going on strange with my computer, and perhaps it's time to reboot. But I'm stubborn, and I want to finish this stream, so I'm not going to reboot. I'm just going to keep going. Get rid of that little bit of. There we go. Do. All right. Again, these are the weirder ones. Once these ones are done, the other ones have more work to do because they're larger, but they're a little more straightforward because there, I'm going backwards a little bit. Oh, look at that. Okay, so undo that. All right, so that's good. Hold the Alt key down. Get rid of that. All right, so I'll stop there, delete that for a moment. Again, don't know why that did that, but I will. So, see, look at that. That is so weird. All right, I'll start on this side instead. Fine, you win. I must be doing something with my hands wrong tonight. I mean, but again, I'm willing to work around it. I only have a few more cuts to do. And again, I want to do it in this same video, the same stream. Those who are wondering, because my streams aren't that long, I'm putting most of the highlights together so that they will remain online afterwards. If not, I'll stick them on YouTube. But I want to keep them on Twitch as long as possible because I want you to be able to catch up with me here on Twitch. Unless you're listening to this in the past and you are watching this on another channel, in which case I'm not on Twitch. All right, let's come over here and yay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more thingamabobbies to cut out. All right, so let's start from the middle because, why not? Keep it interesting. Actually, I'm actually not keeping it interesting as much as I'm cheating. Why am I cheating? Because at the end of the day, this cut will have the most bang for the buck, right? I come over here, big area, not too difficult to cut out. Getting in there, we feel really good. I hit the delete key. Again, what's the point of doing this? For some people, they enjoy having the art, but they don't enjoy making the art. And I think it's important that as you learn to love Photoshop, learn to love the process as well. You can't get overly frustrated by it. It is what it is. Some people love it, some people hate it. And if you hate it, you find yourself won't doing it. The ends don't necessarily justify the means. So you want to sit here and find a process that you like. So some people, what I'm doing right now feels really good, and they'll just keep doing this till their heart's content. And those people that do that will have a much more satisfying time, as well as the patience to what are you doing? I'm hedging my bets. I'm running out of steam here. The patience to be able to come over here and do very complex pieces. And it's not a complex composition. I've seen lots of the other collages I've seen have had a huge amount of overlap. They've had a lot more interesting things to them, but I like building my tableau. All right, so come over here and 1, 2, 3, delete. Oh, that feels good. That feels very good. All right, I like that. All right, so let's come over here and let's do it again. Oops. Get rid of that little bit of a... So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to kind of get in there. Again, the strategy for what's the fastest way to do this right now is secondary to the strategy of what's the one that's going to keep you focused. So I won't say start from the left, go to the right. I will say that I tend to like to work clockwise around an object. So that tends to be a thing that I do. I think it may have to do with where my mouse cursor is, sort of like how right-handed people don't smudge when they write, but left-handed people do unless they're writing in Hebrew. But whatever your process is, you got to figure out the one that works best for you so that you can get through this very, very, I don't want to say tedious, but it's tedious, and not monotonous, but tedious process, and feel like you're still in control, feel like you're still, happy with it. And again, you need to be happy with this if you're going to keep making art that you're successful with. I don't want to say happy art because happy art's BS. No one says your art has to be happy or joyful. But it does, I was talking this the other day, it does have to be cathartic. You do need to make sure that it does what it is that you need it to do. And so, if this is just a purely mechanical, dead process for you, well, then that's fine as well. But then the question is, can you do it with competency? But if you're trying to actually make a point, then you've got to make sure that the point that you're trying to make, or the story that you're trying to make, or the emotional response you're trying to elicit doesn't necessarily get lost in the work. And I think that happens quite a bit when people are making art, is they think about what they're trying to evoke, but they forget that that's secondary to the actual craft of what they're doing. I always joke the artist statement comes long time before the actual work. That you can sit there and design the most beautiful dresser you've ever seen, and the design is great and you thought through and it has meaning and all sorts of wonderful things, but when it comes time to build it, it's carpentry. And while there's a level of precision there, and by the way, I love good carpentry, you definitely need to be thinking about carpentry at that moment, not about some artist statement along the way, which of course will come back into play as you get to the parts where the design starts to unravel. But woodworking's woodworking, and that part's going to be, the quality of workmanship will be the same regardless of what the thesis statement, artist intention is. So the same thing goes with this. It doesn't matter what my collage is. If my intention is to cut this dragon out cleanly, then there's only one thing to do, and that is to cut the dragon out cleanly. So this thing here doesn't necessarily have an emotional response. It's just me clicking and deleting, which does give me an emotional response. Ooh, that's nice. All right. And the next thing you know, I'm done. I'm not done, but I'm heading back over this way. Look at that. Look at that. Only two more. Again, I want to say pause. Only two more claws to go. And they're not even really two more. It's kind of a half and half. Yeah, it's more. It's close to two. But they're not the weird ones. They're the easier ones. You could say they're weird because they're made of very, very light paint strokes. It's kind of interesting how when I do cut these out, you get that really, really light brush stroke there. And again, depending on what the dragon ends up on top of, that's why. But you know what? This isn't the end of the world. If I come over here with the Alt key and do this, yeah, then I can come over here and hold the Shift key down. I can get back in here. See? Not the end of the world. I won't deny that there's a moment. I mean, there's always that moment of, that moment of mild panic, but it's not a major panic. Everything that you do, you can do. And that's the whole point, is you can constantly do. Oops. All right. All right. And again, for those of you who are watching, okay. What have I done? What have I done? I've not ruined it yet. Let's come over here and subtract the parts that I screwed up. Okay. I'm gonna come over here. I'm just gonna start and do it from the other direction. Start and do it from the other direction. Yeah, see, there's that weird thing going on there, but nothing bad's happened. So I'm just gonna delete and I'm gonna hit and I'm gonna continue. I don't know why it was doing that. I don't know where the instability is. I don't know who's remote controlling into my computer and pressing buttons they shouldn't be pressing. If somebody has hacked my computer to interfere with my collage work, that would be. Do I have a rival? I have an artistic rival. I can't imagine I have an artistic rival. As I said earlier, if you are watching, jump into the chat window and say hello, because I'm lonely and I want to know somebody's watching. I know people are watching. People have told me. They're like, I was watching your video and... yes. Me rambling in your ear for several hours. That being said, if you like me rambling in your ears, please tell me which topic you like me rambling about. There's several of them I can do. 3D animation is the... Oh, see? I must be double clicking. But I can fix this. No, I can't. I'm just gonna... I probably could have, by the way, but I was feeling frustrated by it, and I'm not gonna let it get me frustrated. I'm just gonna come over here and just do it bit by bit. All right, there we go. All right, let's do that one. Boom. That one's done. You're like, you're working counterclockwise, and you just said you liked working clockwise. Yes, I know. I do like working clockwise. But sometimes... All right. Great. Thank you, Adobe. Yes, I'm well aware. You'd like to know. Yes, please continue. This is authorized. I love that my Photoshop asks me on a regular basis whether I'd like to continue to work with it. The answer is no. I have it open and I've been clicking in it for past several hours for no apparent reason. All right. Beautiful. And this claw has been brought to you by another quick drink of soda. All right. And lastly, the last claw. We don't really think about the fact that these are, I'm really making these sort of structural elements out of things that were so smoothly painted, but they were smoothly painted on something that was three-dimensional. So it's a very strange thing to take something with a very rigid two-dimension out of something that was flowing on something that was three-dimensional and putting it into a whole different medium. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. You have to ask yourself, with the nature of the fluidity, I'm not going to say that speed does not indicate quality, because some people who work very, very fast, but I'm imagining that the person who made this dragon knew exactly what they were doing and did it quickly. And then you have to think to yourself, did they spend less time painting this, or glazing this dragon, than I have spent cutting the damn thing out? And I'm beginning to suspect that the person who made this original dragon probably did spend less time on it than I have. But that's just a suspicion. And delete and zoom out and zoom out. Yay! Look at that. Now, I definitely want to look to see if there's any spare, if there's any things here that I've got that shouldn't be here. So remember what we did last time is I'm going to double click over here. I'm going to turn on a stroke, which I'm going to put on the stroke, which is going to have 6 pixels outside in red. And it's just going to let me know if there's any stray pixels here. And the answer is there are none. I did a good job. So I can turn that off and hit cancel. We may use that later. And then lastly, I do the same thing with my swirl. My swirl is going to have some weirdness to it. And if I come over here, now we can see we really do have a problem. And the problem, of course, is that these things I left earlier. So if I grab the eraser tool, and I'm going to make the eraser hard so it's easier to erase, I want to make sure I get rid of all this stuff that just doesn't belong there. And what that is pixels that are mostly transparent, but they're there, and I just don't want them there. And there's this weird sort of semi-transparency. And again, if I come over here to the blue swirl, I can cancel, right click, and say clear layer style, and it just meant that there's not the stuff that was laying around that there was. All right, I know I still have to get back over here, but before I do that, I want to take a look at my ship again. Let's take a look at my ship. I'm in a good mood, so I want to take a look at my ship. All right, what do I need to delete for absolutely? Well, this part is absolutely going to go because this part is this is the rigging, and this is not a sail. So first, let me make sure I'm clicking it. Yes, I'm on the ship, and again, because I've auto selected by layer, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get rid of, but keeping the ropes and a little white border. It's kind of a cool thing there when you do it. All right, so I can get rid of that. Yeah, see, I like that. And then I can come over here. Oops. I can come over here and now, do I need that rope right there? And the answer is probably not. Even if I were to come over here, yeah, it would look kind of organic at that point. Yeah, you're not going to notice that. It's kind of strange because you know it's wrong, but just because you know it's wrong doesn't mean it's not going to look right. And delete that, and that's nice. See, there you got that. And then I've got to decide whether I'm going to delete this or not. And oops. The only way to do it is to zoom in and delete. I'm going to delete. Click, 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 click. All right, delete. I leave that one there because that's what you get. So if I zoom out, wow, that's nice. Oh, that makes me happy. Now, over here, this area here should be blue as well. Now, I can't do all of that. There's no way I can do all of that, but I probably can do some of it, or not, or yes, or not. You know, I really can't get in there and do all of that. So let's not do that right now. Again, pick your battles. What about up here? I'm going to leave that one for now. All right, let's come back out. What about up here? Now, these make a bit more of a difference. Because I do know that this area here needs to go. I'm not going to say all of it needs to go. I'm not going to say this area needs to go, but this area here, where that is, definitely needs to go. Because this is that flag that's giving a very distinct sense of whatever. Now, again, what's weird about this is I'm making so many weird judgment calls where you know it's wrong, but you've got to figure out which level of wrong people will find palatable. And that's really what's going to happen with this, is what level of wrong feels right. Like that. There's no question that's going to work. Yeah, that's beautiful. You got the thing going up there. But as I do this, you know, You know, I definitely could come over here. Definitely could come over here and just do the main, and you know, just do the main triangle here. Something like that. And if I do that, I can do this one. And then this one. And it was very funny. Because if you watch the video that I did an hour ago, I was so not in this zone. But, you know, stretch my legs, clear my head, work on something else, get my chops back up in a moment, and then all of a sudden, this feels good. And now you zoom out, and that feels like a little bit more like there are ropes in there. I don't even think I need to get any further in there. So now the question is, what other ones can I cut out? And what other ones can't I cut out? And that becomes part of this as well, because if I can't cut it out, I don't want it to look weird. Because you know I can't cut this out. Whatever happens here is going to stay. And I'm kind of okay with that. But can I cut a little bit more out here? And again, is there more to be cut out here? You know, that's the... Yeah. Because they're all kind of up and running. So the idea is this I can cut out, right? And when I cut it out, I've got to cut it out up to here so that you can see the sail that's starting to unfurl. All right, so that cut out like that. And then again, this gets cut out like this. Because there's nothing there. Nothing there. Like that. And then, of course, this becomes easy because this becomes like this. And again, I have to make sure that even though you can't see the line, that still the implied line is there, because the implied line is our structure here. Like that. So yeah, that feels, now we get some summer, right? So that feels good. So now I've got to come over on this side and create a little more balance over here. Again, I'm going to keep some of these. I'm not going to go into the great details, but I want to open up this. I'm going to open up this area so you get the sense that those aren't. All right, so I'm going to open that up like that. And then again, I'm going to go symmetrical with it so you get a sense of where the banks of cables of ropes are. Notice I haven't zoomed out yet. I'm obviously not going to go more than 20 levels right now to see if I have to undo anything. But I definitely want to go and do enough that when I do, you know, zoom out, I can get a gestalt over it versus working on a little piece. All right. And this piece over here. which is nice because it's got that bit of the sail. And then this piece over here. All right. Again, that's got a little bit of brown there. Trying to give that sense of the banner. All right. All right, and then you can only go so far. All right, so there. All right, I'm going to cut some more, but I want to zoom out first and see what it's looking like. Oh, yeah, that's looking nice, isn't it? Get a little bit of even the white around the black is making this look really nice. So none of this gets cut. None of this gets cut. None of this gets cut. I need to do a little bit more in here. A little bit more in here. And then decide what I'm going to do down here. But definitely makes a huge difference, doesn't it? I mean, it's got a real sense of dimensionality to it. And again, that's what I was trying to go for. But you have to not be afraid of sort of getting in there, as it were. And it's easy to get afraid, by the way, of getting in there. You have no idea, because you can overdo it. You can try to make everything perfect, and you're getting down to these very thin lines, and it's still it's a painting or it's a drawing. It wasn't perfect to begin with. It doesn't follow the laws of physics. It follows a certain basic level law of visual perception, and that law of visual perception is about simplification. And so if you start trying to uphold the laws of physics to that, it doesn't always work. Yeah, that's nice. We'll leave that there. I think I can get away with one more in here. Delete that. Again, that little bit of negative space that pops in. Every time it does, it adds a little bit more, again, dimensionality to what's going on. But you've got to make sure that like the lines are just perfect. I mean, the special contours, like again, following that ribbon or that flag or this tack all around. Or you've got to almost make sense of why is this one see-through, but why aren't the other ones? And like, well, okay, that makes sense. We know this one's going to be see-through because it is. And we know that this one's going to be see-through because we know it is. All right, that's good. Now we come over here and do this one. Oops. Come over here and do this one. Technically, I could have undone that, but the cut was in the right place, so I figured I'd leave it. And like that. So that gives us our lines and our lines. And if I clear this one up, then I should probably give this one up. There we go. And our lines, that's nice. All right. Leave that up like that. Again, trying to reinforce the sense that those Sails are up and tied, because if you look, that's what they are. They are up and tied. And then coming over here, I love nautical adventure novels. I've read all the Rachel Hornblower novels. I've read all the Master and Commander novels. You're like, was that all you've read? Yeah, it's like 40 novels. That's good enough for now. I will tell you that the Rachel Hornblower novels are much better than Master Commander novels. I read all the Master Commander novels, but a friend of mine started reading at the same time. She bailed at like book 3. She said, "Life's too miserable. Life's too short to read mediocre books," is what she said. And they're a little goofy at times, but I love the Hornblower ones. I think they're great. I've reread them several times, which is nice. As an author, he gives you everything you want. As an author, he gives the reader eventually everything the reader wants. He gives you all the payoffs, which is nice. Except when he dies. Not the character, but the author dies in the middle of one of the books. But because he wrote them out of order, it's kind of neat because you can read them. You read them not in the order in which he wrote them. You read them in the order of a Hornblower's life, which creates a every so often small continuity issues. But for the most part, what it means is that when the author dies, he dies in the middle of a book, and there's like 7 books before it and 7 books after it. So you just kind of feel like you missed half book in the middle, and that feels pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I planned on going this crazy with it, but I like it. I like it. It makes me happy. And you know what? That's kind of why we do these things, right? Not just to. All right. So, yeah. So if I zoom out, that looks like a fun ship right there. Again, probably a few more that I could add or subtract in there, but that's enough to give you a real sense of definition of what's going on. Some white stuff going on in the background. But now I have to go down and see what goes on over here. And the reality of it is I need to get some of this blue. So we already know what we're doing. We've done it before. We just did it a minute ago. Start with the easy ones. Just go through and say, oops, start with the easy ones. And if you do that enough times, you'll be on the hard ones before you know it. And the easiest one left will be the hard one. All right. So I can come over here. And then I can come over here. There we go. Now I can really build that sense of sail in here. It's really that's what you need, is that sense of where is the sail and where is the deck. I'm going to skip over here. Again, creating these level of implied lines. If you're wondering why I'm doing this twice, it's because I did actually have it auto close by mistake, and because it didn't do any damage, I said okay. A lot of times just because I'm so close, that really, really, really delicate, level of closeness here. I could zoom in even further if I wanted to. so that's good. And let's get one more big one in here. So I zoom out. There we go. Now we get a real sense of dimensionality. All right. I declare the ship done. It may not be, but I declared it done, so it's done. Do you know what that means? That means I only have my poplar trees. And there's only, two of them because, again, one of them is a dupe of the other. So I can come over here and I can take Poplars 2 and I can disappear it for now. Matter of fact, I can even eat it. That's right. I deleted the whole layer. I'm going to hit save. Take a swig of my mellow yellow. This episode has been sponsored by, no, it's not been sponsored by Mellow Yellow. I wish, by the way, Coca-Cola Company, if you want to start sending me Mellow Yellow, I will not complain. Others might because I get real jumpy on this stuff, but I love Mellow Yellow. All right, last but not least, I must cut out the Van Gogh. All right, it's not easy. It's a lot of applied lines here, but or maybe it will be easy. Maybe I'm just going to jump on in. Oh, first of all, make sure I'm on the right layer. Yes, I'm on the poplars. Maybe I just come on in here and say, you know what? Big impasto painting. Oh my goodness. See how it just automatically came in? There's something going on with my computer tonight. Something going on with my computer tonight. My computer is possessed. But if it dies anytime soon, I will be so upset. There we go. Get in there. Get in there. So I am cutting out my Van Gogh poplar trees. Still going to leave a little bit of blue in there, by the way. I'm not going to get rid of every little bit of whatever, just yet, because I don't know what the composition's... see, look at that. Alt. Tell it to stop that. Delete. All right, keep going back in there. Yeah, I guarantee my computer is desperate for a reboot. Something's going on with memory or the mouse, or I'm running one too many programs or something. But I just don't want to pause. I really, really, really want this stream to end with all of my cutouts being done. So many of you have been waiting. When is the cutout going to be done? I'm assuming that I've got to make a decision, by the way. I'm going to back up a second. Are these lines the tree? So this line's the tree. Is this line the tree? I think it is. No, I think that's the tree. All right, so yeah, that's pretty good. And the question is, how much of this blue do I remove? And the answer is enough to make it look not like a sky. And then down over here, this gets a little bit easier because obviously with the solid parts, I'm just going to kind of come over here and decide where the tree is. Oops. That works. Again, with the really strong lines, I can get away with carving it a bit more than I would in other areas. All right, so again, if you're in the room, if you're watching, please say hello. Hello. If you're not in the room, please do not say hello. That's just weird. I just got to come back up here and start hedging my bets. There we go. There we go. That's nice. So come up here. 1, 2, 3. With this, again, with the bottom part of this, it's almost impossible to go wrong because the impasto is such that, you know, I can get away with cutting into the paint. And it's got that really strong, harsh edge. I mean, you can go wrong. I mean, obviously you can go wrong if your things look a little too sort of mechanical at times, but I think you're going to be surprised at just how forgiving this type of paint style is to cut out. All right. And come over here. See, look at that. See how nice that is? Again, it's those nice sharp lines. It works so well in terms of you can just cut in on them, and they just work so well. Which is why the bits of negative space hold up as well when you're doing it. As in the bits of blue, you just don't want is so much blue that it looks like you left a piece of sky in there. But yeah, I got to figure out, you know, where it is. Again, where is the tree moving forward, and then coming up and kind of just following along. I'll stop right there. See how nice that is? It's not because I'm good, it's because the tree is relatively easy. Again, just the paint allows for you to kind of chomp in there. There is a bit of an art to try to make it kind of follow the contours, because you don't want it to be too, again, you don't want it to be too sort of crazy choppy, but you kind of keep going up and down along what looks like these paint daubs. It kind of follows along with what he's done. So again, I kind of connect the dots around the geometries, chop in a little bit, make sure that there's still black edges or the dark edges there along the way, and just keep going down and up and down and up. It isn't straight, just around, and then I do this and delete, and it looks fairly good. So look at that, pretty good. I got one tree down. Now let's come back over here and look at the part that didn't work, and that would be the blue, right? So I'm gonna take a moment and get rid of those. Create a negative space. That's one. That's 2. That's 3. And then again, we come back up here and we see that, so much of this is fallen into the sky area. So we just want to get rid of what is the sky, because what we're not doing is we're not putting this in the sky. We're putting this up against another mountainside probably. So we want to make sure we've gotten rid of not all of the blue, but a lot of the blue. Enough that makes it clear that we're dealing with the blue that was placed in the tree, not the blue that has been left over from the sky. There we go. See that? That makes me feel better. All right, so yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So we all have to do is one more time, and if I do that, I'll have 2 trees, which I can turn to 4 trees, and then we'll go from there. Remember, since the top was so confusing, I'm going to start at the bottom and just enjoy myself on my way up. So I'm going to come over here and say, there we go. Again, at some point, I just have to figure out when to stop. When, again, playing that game of I'll stop right there. Zoom out, delete. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Still a lot of work to go, but that's okay. I got all the time in the world. Not really, but I have plenty of time to make this happen. And again, one of the things that I'm trying to do here is seriously not rush. I'm not trying to take my time, or I'm going to go la 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 la. I'm not going to be wasteful with my time, but I'm not going to go crazy here, where I'm going to sit here and be super agitated by the scope of the project. That's the point of doing a collage like this. Is I decided that I wanted a whole lot of little details. Again, whether anybody notices them or not, which is the worst of it, there's always the possibility that someone's going to sit here and go, "That's lovely," or "I don't care." Wouldn't that be horrible if nobody cared? It's entirely possible that no one's going to care. That's the other part of this, right? You create something and you're like, "Yeah, so what?" I mean, they may even acknowledge how much work you put into it. They go, "Wow, that was a lot of work. I don't want to see that. I don't care about that. That isn't a picture I want to hang on my wall." And that is really kind of the point behind this too, isn't it? Not just to demonstrate that I know how to use Photoshop. I already knew I knew how to use Photoshop. I teach Photoshop. The point is that I can do something with Photoshop that I like, or that has something meaningful for me. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, if you like this, but again, it is one of those things where, I keep reminding everybody that there are these sort of aesthetic questions along the way and technical questions along the way, but all of it adds to, does it all add up, which is the fun part. Does it all make sense? And again, I've been fairly random here. I mean, some people are sitting there going, "Jared, you've barely spent any time on this project," or which isn't true, by the way. I've spent a lot of time on this project. We've documented every single moment on this project, from idea to research to mistakes. Every bit of it has been documented. So this is beginning to end. You can see how, soup to nuts, how long it takes to do it. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that it has any intrinsic value, other than the fact that it demonstrates that Photoshop is possible. I like what I've done, though. I like the pieces that I've made, and I like the relationships I'm making. And that, to me, is what a collage is about. It's about making relationships. That's what composition's about. often it's difficult because I'm a documentarian. I spend more of my time documenting what's out there, taking pictures of what's real and creating memory back. So doing this is quite different than that because I'm actually I'm documenting, but in a very different sort of way. I'm documenting and then I'm creating something new from it. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, I love how well that works. It just makes me happy how well that just comes together. Because it's easy to cut Van Gogh out, and it shouldn't be, but it just kind of holds up. And again, there's a lot to be said for the sort of other decisions that I've made. You know, what the background's going to be, what the colors. I can't wait to get into color. Color is going to be real fun. And I actually can't wait to print the damn thing. You know, will I want to see it when it's done? Will I want to, hang it on the wall? Will I want to share it with somebody? Will somebody else want to see it? And then the worst of it is when printed, will the resolution and such hold up? Will more details emerge to say that I did it right or wrong or whatever? I will give you a trick, by the way. When I print this, I'm gonna use a lot of people would use like a glossy or something like a photo glossy, but if I were to do that, that'll actually augment a lot of not the mistakes, but the changes in medium between the different pieces. Instead, I am going to more likely use a material that will, in some ways, blend them together a little bit better. And that is, I'm probably going to print this on canvas. I like printing on canvas. I like having that added texture. It sometimes can come to compete with what you're printing on, but it sometimes can come to augment it as well, where all of a sudden it unifies because this canvas texture shows up on canvas, and all of a sudden it feels like canvas, and everything feels like canvas. And again, the texture becomes a unifying element, which can help really nicely versus the glossy, which can become a contrast element where you just go, oh look how glossy this is. All right, let's come back down and see how far I've gone. Ooh, look, I've gone pretty damn far. I've been playing without a net for a few minutes now. I'm got carried away. This deserves a zoom out. Oh yes, it does. Oh, look at that. I'm close to the end. Yep, close to the. Ooh, slide over. And no real compromises here. By that I mean to say, I made aesthetic. My aesthetic decisions are not based on laziness or the desire to be done faster or not to do the work. Matter of fact, I put in the time on the rigging. I put in the time on this. So I'm not doing shortcuts. I'm not talking myself out of work. Think about that when you're working. Are you talking yourself out of work? Oh, I don't really need to do that. That's not going to be it. No, do you really mean that, or are you just being lazy? Because it's really easy to be lazy. Because let me tell you why it's easy to be lazy. This is part 11. Part 11, and not all these are an hour long, but some of them are over, some of them are under. But you can sit here and say, after 10 hours, no one can accuse me of being lazy. I've spent all this time on this. But that really isn't what lazy is about. It's not a net time. It's whether or not you spent the appropriate amount of time, and whether or not that time was time well spent, and whether or not my poplars are done. That's so exciting. Now, I'm going to be smart, right? How am I going to be smart? I'm going to take this poplar tree. I'm going to cut it and paste it. And I'm going to call it poplar 2. Right? Now, I poplar 1 and poplar 2. And I'm going to take those 2 layers and I'm going to duplicate them. And this one's going to be called poplar 3 and poplar 4. And I'm going to take poplar 3 and poplar 4, or poplar 4 and poplar 3. 1, 2. I'm going to highlight both of them. Edit, transform, flip horizontal. Beautiful. And then I can come over here and I can make them bigger and smaller as I need to be, but that's not at the moment because I've got to zoom out, see my whole thing, take a deep breath. Look at that. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say after several hours and 11 parts, all of the pieces parts are cut out, which means I can, again, and this is kind of strange because we've done this so many times, but if all the pieces parts are cut out, that means I get to adjust my composition again. And you're like, how many times have we done that? Yes, we've done that a few times, but it's okay. I can come over here and start to adjust my composition. This, by the way, is a warp. I am actually warping the my little thing. I'm not going to warp anything else. That's right. So I can put this over here and over here and over here. All right. Over here. Boy, I don't know if that's going to go over here. I think it's going to go over here and face the other direction. I think this baby comes over here. Transform horizontal. That's much better here. And then, we've got the gravy boat in the background. Still don't know where the gravy boat goes. And, then of course there's a question about the ducks. Where the ducks go. Quack, quack, quack. And then, all of this comes to the sense, that I don't want to move. Does the ship go here? I like the ship there, though. There's a lot to be said. Like I like the tower here. That makes me feel good. I like the ship here. That makes me feel good. There's something to be said with the horse over here. It kind of putting it here kind of overlaps a bunch of things. That feels good. Though there's too much parallelism. I've got the horse and then I've got the unicorn in the background. So that kind of makes me a little bit nervous. So let's go back and maybe what happens if the horse does point the direction again? That is the wrong direction. What if the horse goes like that? The horse is kind of going this way, the unicorn's going this way, but he's got his back to the scene. He's like ignoring everybody. So I think I'm going to have to come back over here and say, no, he's going to have to go this way. Flip horizontal again. All right, so he's this way. Maybe he's over here. Maybe the trees are more here. Maybe there's something to be said for where the trees are, that kind of thing. I've got the trees here and I've got stop moving that. The reality of it is I can lock those layers, but I get lazy and I don't. So horses over here, we've got the poplar trees. I know I want the poplar trees over there somewhere. That's very good. They've got this unicorn here. That's where the unicorn goes. The unicorn goes there, and maybe there's a parallelism. Maybe that's what I need, right? So if that goes there and that goes there, the question is, where do my ducks go? Where does my boat go? Where's my gravy boat go? Right, there's my gravy boat. Still don't know where my gravy boat's going to go. Right, the gravy boat's maybe in the sky. I don't want to lose my gravy boat. I like my gravy boat. I haven't decided where my gravy boat's going to go yet. All right, so but I do like this there, and again, the dragon's in the water. The water's over here. Dragon's in the water, but then we've got kind of the ducks over here. See, I want my ducks. Ooh, stop that. I will at some point lock that layer. All right. But, the question about the ducks is, are they pointing in the right direction? That's the other question. Do I need to come over here and flip my ducks? Let's start with it. Let's start with this duck. If I come over here, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Yeah, does the duck look better? Facing away from the action. That kind of thing. Is the duck over here? And then of course is the duck smaller? And is it better facing away from the action? And if that's the case, then do I do the same thing with the other ducks? It looks a lot better like that. Then we get the baby duck, which of course needs to be not facing the other direction again. Yeah, we got a little baby duck in there. So yeah, we've got our ducks in. I'm not going to say in a row, but I like to say in a row. Right, there's the ducks. There's the ducks. The ducks are there. I don't know why I have a gravy boat still. There's the horse, who's really blocking a lot of what's going on with these trees, which we still have to figure out what to do with the trees. Though it's amazing how, without resizing them, just moving them around a bit gives us a nice sort of thing. And of course, we can have the. Oh, I like that. I like the tree coming out of the gravy boat. I don't know why I like the tree coming out of the gravy boat, but I do. All right, so oops, sorry about that. Close that. You don't need to see my status update windows. All right, so come over here, and like that. So something like that. Still kind of a strange one because we don't know where the flower is coming. We definitely do know that the unicorn is attacking this is being attacked over here, but we definitely need to have this coming. We got more of a parabola coming from the flowers, so that it can be landing on the dragon, which exists on this sort of maelstrom, which would be a little bit better if. Yeah. If you're wondering what I'm doing right now is I wish I had more blue here. Okay, like if I could back this up a little bit, I'd have more blue, which would work for me. And then I have to move everything over a little bit, but I don't have enough of that. So how do I get more blue? And the answer is I could rescale this, or I could stretch it. I wonder what would happen if I stretched it. I normally would never do this. But actually, no, I didn't stretch it. I just rescaled it, all right? Yeah. Well, bring that down a bit. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like where the ship is still. This allows me to bring this a little bit more forward. That's good, pretty good. My ducks are still ducks. Looks like they're talking to the tree, to the horse. Ducks are talking to the horse. There's little people there, little horse. The only thing we don't have is a reason for this. All right. That's where we're going to call it tonight. All right, that's it. That's all I can do. Everything has been cut out. Hallelujah. We have everything cut out. That is great. Oh, yeah, I've been doing this for over an hour. Everything's been cut out. Everything's been lined up. Everything is where it needs to be. I need to sneeze. I need to figure out what to do with the gravy boat. The gravy boat needs to be, I can't get rid of it. I'm just not ready to get my gravy boat yet. So what's left is I need to start dealing with the quality of each image individually, and I need to blend the background. I do that, and we are done. Does that mean I've got one more session left? Hell no. I've probably got 2 more sessions left, but I thank you for watching. My name is Jared Bendis. I hope you enjoyed this collage project. Please like me, follow me, tell your friends, and all sorts of good stuff. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.